What is going on, everybody? Acclaim back again. This is going to be 3B of my State of Madden series. If you didn't watch 3A as it pertains to Madden marketing and branding within the competitive scene, I highly suggest you watch that, as well as parts 1 and 2. I will have a link in the description below so you can catch up before diving into this one, as this one is going to deal with a lot of the future of branding and competitive gaming marketing as it pertains to Madden itself. So, without further ado, we're going to hop right in. In part A, I talked about the idea of needing an official esports Twitter account for Madden. I obviously still stand by that. I also think it would be a very simple change that will have lasting effects because it will keep all the information in one place and streamlined, and you won't have people running around trying to ask individuals what information they need. Now, if they want to reach out to those individuals, that is one thing. However, I think the vast majority of people will have most of their questions answered if it's on an official account in which all the information is laid out beforehand. I will get to more on that in a little bit as it pertains to how the competitive scene was structured this year and how it can be better structured going forward. Now, I also talked about scheduling and needing hard schedule times for games. If you implement hard schedules for games and game times, you can stream better and more consistently higher quality games. Now, let's take that one step further. Let's assume for a second EA takes my advice from part 2 and implements weekly pro point events in which they will take the top 64 at the end of the season, however long the season may be, in which they will compete in the major. Now, let's take that into account for a second and assume they're going to do that. With that comes the idea that you can stream every week, and if you get a spectator mode, you can just cast every week top quality games. Weekly games of a high caliber at a much higher rate than we currently have will yield automatic growth. It's simple math. Higher quality, higher quantity means more viewers. With that also comes the idea that you can brand and market players better, because now you can say so-and-so is playing at X p.m. Friday night in the weekly qualifier. Or let's say somebody like W or Problem or True Boy or Hollywood or whoever it is wins 2 or 3 weeks in a row. You can then start marketing who's going to dethrone the champ. Or, hey, it's not too late to sign up. You could have a possibility of dethroning the champ. Now that automatically gets people more invested. And when you get people invested, they stick around. And if they stick around, they're going to be viewers, they're going to be fans, and that's how you gain organic growth. It's not rocket science. It's really not. Now, in addition to that, which I still firmly believe hard schedule times will go a long way to better viewership, you have to look at when you schedule events. Let's take the Madden Challenge, for example. The Madden Challenge was scheduled on a terrible weekend. It was scheduled on the weekend of WrestleMania. It was scheduled on the weekend of MLB opening day. It was also scheduled on the weekend of MLG Atlantic City for Gears of War. Now, scheduling it on the same weekend as MLG for Gears is okay, because what's going to happen with esports is you're going to have to compete against other esports. But because Madden is a sports title, it's going to have to compete in 2 spaces. It's going to have to compete with actual sports, and it's going to have to compete with esports. So if you can avoid some of the actual sports, your viewers and your numbers will automatically go up because it's going to be on a down week from actual sporting events. I know firsthand a lot of people probably opted to watch MLB because their team was starting off the season. And also it's WrestleMania that weekend, and WrestleMania is one of the biggest sporting events of the year. That would be like scheduling the Madden Championship Series on Super Bowl Sunday. Now, it sounds cool in theory, but it's not going to yield a lot of viewers because a lot more people are going to care about the actual Super Bowl than the Madden Championship Series. But if you do it the week after the Super Bowl, you can get a TV spot or whatever the case may be. You're going to yield more viewers because it's the week after the event. And I know that MLB opening day and WrestleMania are scheduled far enough in advance that you could work around when they're scheduled if you really wanted to. Now, talking about scheduling and stuff like that, that brings us to the idea of the sanctioned challenger events. Now, I'm all for more LAN events. LAN events are great. LAN events are a great opportunity for the community to come together. It's a great opportunity for the game to be showcased in a much better environment than just online streams. However, online LAN events, if you're billing it, cough, cough, Vegas, as the last chance qualifier to get pro points to have a shot at being in the top 32, there is no reason to have 3 more events after it, including LA and Texas. Because if you're billing something as the last chance, then it better be the last chance when you're advertising it. Now, I'm not against those challenger events existing. However, I think in a vacuum, having those as the only alternative to grinding the ladder is not the way to go. If you had those challenger events and they were weighted a little heavier than your weekly events that were online, working hand in hand like that would actually yield much better results, and you would actually see a lot better turnout at those challenger events because they'd be weighted a little heavier, and you would also end up having the community come together in better sequential pattern. And what I mean by that is you have to schedule those challenger events far enough in advance. Like, looking at this year with Vegas, right? Vegas was the last chance qualifier, and everyone's all in on Vegas. All I hear is like 300 people attending Vegas or whatever in terms of the competitors. However, the week after they announced LA, or was it or Texas, one or the other. But then you only gave people 2 weeks notice to get to LA or Texas. Now, most people that could travel have jobs. They don't play Madden full time because we are not at that point as a community or as an esport yet. If you can play Madden full time presently, then more power to you. But it is not feasible for the most part of the population in the current ecosystem. So, giving people 2 weeks notice to get off work, get a plane ticket, get a hotel, and get out there to those events is highly unlikely. Now, what I would like to see is if you scheduled the season's events far enough in advance. Let's say game comes out in August. Let's say you have all the challenger events for the spring. So you announce every event in December for the spring season. You can then schedule and promote them accordingly, which will then lead to much better turnout and a much better quality of turnout. And also, you're going to get more orgs on board. And when you get more orgs on board, you're going to get more consistent viewership because you're going to have people just watching because a player is represented by their organization. Whether it's Problem with Luminosity, whether it's VTech with, I think it's like INTI or something, I don't know, or Earthroot Gaming, or In Control, or Search, or Set to Destroy. Like, I'm not sure of all these orgs, but again, like, I think that's all the orgs that are currently in Madden. So I feel like if you can get more orgs on board with a better format for LAN events, it's going to go a long way to getting people to those events in a more feasible and financially responsible manner. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is why on earth we are having the top 32, or for that matter, every major, lock their teams in so far in advance that they can't use newer cards. I know, like this weekend, John Randall came out. Pretty cool. Or how we had the 99 Julio Jones come out for the flashback, or the 99 Football Outsider DRC come out. Those cards would be great to showcase in the championship series, in the championship tournament. However, they had to lock in their lineups too soon, so those cards are ineligible. I don't know about you, but I think that a major event with the top players showcasing the newest and best cards is the best way to promote those cards. It would be free advertising for Ultimate Team, and then you'd have more players or just random fans ripping packs to try to get enough coins or try to find those cards in those packs. It's a simple thing that if they just implemented a slightly later lock-in date, just to showcase newer cards, it would go a long way just to have a better marketing strategy. In addition to that, I actually think that players shouldn't lock in their lineups at all. I think players should lock in their lineups before their game starts. Much the same way that League of Legends or Dota or Smite or even Counter-Strike to a lesser extent does their picks and bans phase for what players are going to use which characters or which maps are going to be played in the case of Counter-Strike. I'm not saying to ban a card. However, I think it would be much cooler to have the two players sit down and just create their lineup before they go play and have the casters commentating why those players are making those picks for their team. Like, you can analyze, well, this guy's picking wide receiver X because they need a fast guy to do this, so that's why he's going in. And then if they were to make a surprise pick or a new card that they really didn't get to test out, you then get the added promotion and the added hype of the idea that this guy is using an unproven card. Or if they get through a game and then they make a change, you can then analyze why they're making that change to their lineup. And in that case, you can then talk about what that change means to the greater meta of the game itself. Again, these are simple changes that I think going forward could have a profound impact on the growth and future of Madden. But with that, that concludes part 3B, and for a greater whole, part 3 of my State of Madden series. I've got one more part coming out. It's going to be more about the community in general and how the community needs to improve. However, I really don't foresee that being as pressing as these, but I will be getting that out later this week because the community does need to grow and improve. However, I think marketing and marketing strategy is much more important, and for that reason, this part came first. So I'm going to link the other parts in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, I'm out.